Hi everyone, thank you for coming back to my channel. I'm Stephanie if you're new here. I'm a homeschool mom of 10. I've been trying to put out some podcast videos on Monday. I'm going to be sharing some podcasts with you guys through summer. So when it comes to the next year, I probably won't tie this in with the next year. We'll just share some homeschool videos with you guys. Alright, so in today's video, I'm doing a collaboration over on Dash of Homes with Ashley. I'm going to leave her link and everything down in the description. Me and Ashley are going to share with you guys 2 different ways of homeschooling. When I reached out to her and asked if she wanted to do a collaboration with me, I didn't quite know yet on what subjects we were going to talk about or what ideas that we were going to share with you guys. But after one of her videos, I will leave her video that I'm referring to down in the description. She goes over her daily routine with her 3 kids that she does with her homeschool day. And when I watched it, it made me think that it would be great to share this idea with you guys. Me and Ashley homeschool completely different. And when I reached out to her to tell her what my idea was, she thought it was a great idea, only because she had some comments on her videos, I guess, about how to homeschool a scheduled day, a routine day, or how do you do it if you don't homeschool like anyone else. I want to tie someone in with my podcast because I want to give you guys different ideas when it comes to homeschooling. Not one homeschool day is going to look the same. Not one homeschool life is going to look the same. And the thing with me and Ashley is I'm homeschooling 7 of my kids and she's homeschooling 3. But we can still give you good ideas when it comes to homeschooling kids. So my day isn't going to look the same as hers only because I'm homeschooling 7 and she's homeschooling 3. But we can still give you some great ideas on how to do some homeschooling in your home. All right, so I'm going to give you both ways that you can homeschool in your house. Ashley's going to give you different ideas on her video. So I'm going to leave the link of her video down in the description and you guys can go check out that video. All right, so the difference between me and Ashley is she's able to do the time schedule and make it work for her. You can do a timetable schedule or you can do a block time schedule. So I'm going to go through both of them ways really quick and then I'll go over the way that I homeschool. So one of the ways that you can do it is do subjects on different days, switch them out daily, different grade levels. So if you want to teach your kindergartners first, you can teach your elementary next and then your high schoolers next, okay? So you can split up your day in that kind of way. Okay, one of the ways that you can teach your kids in a day is if I have one child that I need to sit down with, I would pick that time and homeschool that child. And then when that time is up, that child needs to go and do independent learning or do a different subject. He is done with that subject and now that child needs to move on. You need to take a different child in that next time lot and teach that child. So it's all structured, it's all timed, and then they might have a time for snack time. And then it's 10 o'clock, let's do snack time. And then 11 o'clock, I'm going to sit with the next child. I'm going to go over that subjects with that child. And you continue like that with a time schedule. So they keep it pretty strict on time, and that just teaches the kids. It's less stress for the kids so that they know exactly what time they're going to do their subjects. So the way that I do mine, I'm going to explain that later because some of this totally makes sense for some of my kids. All right, so an idea when it comes to the block system is every single day around a certain time, we're going to work on a certain thing. So every day around 9 o'clock, it doesn't have to be 9 o'clock, it doesn't have to be 10 o'clock, but around a certain time in that day, we're going to be used to doing that certain thing. So it might be every morning we get up and we do chores. So every day we know that we're going to have that block system for that. Once that time is up, so it could be 45 minutes. I'm not going by time, but I'm going by the minute now. So like every day during this subject time, we have 45 minutes to do that. It could be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It could be at 5 o'clock at night. It doesn't matter. Whenever I take that block out, we're going to be working on it for 45 minutes. So you can schedule that block system however you want it to look. I thought that was fabulous when I heard that. I think that I could totally tie that in with some of my homeschool days. But I am not a timed person because my days don't work that way, especially when I had babies. I never knew when I needed to take a break. When I had little ones during homeschool time, I needed to take that time to go focus on the baby. I didn't have time to schedule out that time to work with a child. So if it's 9 o'clock and my baby's fussy, I would be more stressed that I wasn't able to get that schooling done at 9 o'clock because my baby is fussy. So I don't want to work by a time system because then I would never get my day done. I hope that makes sense because that is totally how I work and how I am as a person. So having a time schedule is way harder for me. I love routine. I'm a total routine person. We can't go by time. So when we wake up in the morning, I'll get up at a certain time because in the morning I work on editing videos, and then we do breakfast, we do our chores, and it doesn't matter when that time is done. We just quickly get it done. I don't let my kids go over a certain time limit of how long they're down by the animals. They know that they have to come up and do the rest of their chores and that we need to eat breakfast. But I'm not going to say, hey, at 10 o'clock, we're going to move on to the next thing. I would never be able to do that because our days never would look like that. We have too many people in our house for that to work. But I love routine, and we pretty much stick to that on a regular basis. Right. So after our chores and our breakfast is done, then we move on to our subjects. Then I say, okay, everyone take out all your books. We're going to start with math. Every child has to start with math. It doesn't matter if they want to start out with history, they're not allowed to. So if it's my high schoolers and they want to do that, that's totally fine, just because they're more independent, and if they have questions, I'll just go over there and I'll help them with their subjects. But they kind of have to wait until I'm ready if I'm working on another child. So I kind of stick around the table when they're homeschooling, and then I go off and do laundry. I come back, I'll go off. If it's my day to do dishes, then I go do dishes. I come back and see who needs help. So I'm always around the kids unless I have to fill in by a phone call, making lunch or snacks, or somebody came to the door. I'm always getting distracted by everything. That's just because that's how I am as a person. I get distracted very easily, just like my kids do. So I'm the one that has to have more time getting back in order when it comes to things. So if I had a time schedule, I wouldn't be able to focus with that. So I need to have flexibility in my homeschool day for me to get through. All right, so we do all 7 of the kids at one time. I don't do individual teaching unless I absolutely have to, because they are in a new grade and they don't know what they're doing. Or if I have kindergartners that only need me to focus more on them that year, I focus more on the kindergarten or the younger grades that year. I kind of mentioned this in my second podcast with babies and toddlers on how I focus on certain years, on certain groups of kids that are in certain seasons of where they are in homeschooling. So that's kind of how I fit my homeschool in with my younger ones versus my older ones. Now this next year coming up, Gage is going to be graduating. I'm going to focus more on Gage than anybody else in the kids that are in school. Now that doesn't mean that I'm not going to help them with their subjects. It just means that I'm going to make sure that Gage graduates, and I'm going to make sure that he is sticking on track and that he's getting the grades that he needs and that he's focusing on his subjects. Gage's life right now, he's working, he's trying to do some other stuff, just being the age that he's at. So I'm going to focus more on Gage, and then everyone else is at a really good age right now and grade right now where they're kind of low key, and we got them at a good spot in their learning. Like I said, I teach independent teaching. So a lot of my school work that they have to learn on their own. And if they need help, I'm there to help. I'm not there to sit and teach them every single word that they need to learn. They really have to learn most of it on their own. Nash and Lachlan this last year, I read everything first. I write notes if I have to write notes, or Declan, if he has a question when it comes to story problems, I go through every single story problem first, and then I write down all of what he needs to do above that story problem, and I walk away. So I do quick little sections. So I might be 5 minutes with this kid, 5 minutes with that kid, and this isn't going to work for everyone. It just goes by your personality too as a person. So even though we homeschool every single day, I'm able to do that more now because I don't have little babies anymore where I have to skip days. But there might be stressful days, or we have doctor's appointments and we just skip that day altogether. But when it comes to timing and stuff, I would never be able to time a day. Ever. It would never, ever work for us. So like I said, but we do the same thing every single day. And our days are always the same. It's just not the right time, like somebody else would schedule their day. Right. So the difference between me and Ashley is she changes out her subjects daily and we don't. We do every single subject in that day, but we do it by page. I never write anything down. My kids just know that every single day that they open up their book that they're going to work on a lesson. So I don't plan ahead of time and say, oh, through the whole year or this quarter, we're going to work on this lesson this day, this lesson this. I can't do that either. That's just how I am. So with me homeschooling for almost 17 years now, I'm very good at just keeping track of our daily. So I wouldn't be able to keep track, or just me anyways, I wouldn't be able to keep track of what everyone's doing every single day. But I know that once they open up their book, we know exactly where they need to start, and then I correct it right away while they're sitting there. So I never put their books off to the side and correct them later. I do it all right away because I'm right there and I'm able to do that. So I'm always by my kids to the most part when it comes to their learning. I'm there and I'm available, but I just don't sit with them and go over everything with them. I would mainly just go over everything quick, and then if they need help with anything, then I'm there to help them. So if that makes sense. So with Ashley, doing math on Monday, science on Tuesday, that works for her family, for them to focus on them subjects in that day and really dive deep into it. And for me, we just make sure that we get that lesson done in the day, and I make sure that we get each lesson done for that subject. So it might take us 2 hours, 5 hours, but we're able to still get done with every subject. So when it comes to something extra like writing or maybe focusing on reading, then the next day we just focus more on that subject. So I can shut down a whole day of homeschooling and be like, nope, we're just gonna focus on math today and we need to get caught up. I can shut down all the other subjects because I don't have a schedule. So I'm not behind. So the people that schedule really have to stick strict to their schedule, and then they have to remake up what they're missing, versus me, we're never missing any subjects because we just do it lesson by lesson by lesson every day. Is that clear? I hope that's clear to you guys. If you guys have any questions on that, leave them in the comments down below and I can go over that with you. But that's just kind of how our days work. So if I miss a whole day, I know the next day we can just start back up where we were. So we didn't miss out on anything, and I'm not going to feel guilty that I missed a day and that I didn't have that scheduled day worked in. So when I talk about me not being a scheduler, but I might have kids that need the routine part of it, I still try to make it go the way I need it to go. Otherwise, I'm not able to teach them. So Nash and Lachlan, they're the only ones of my kids that are more of a scheduler. So every day that we do school, they're like, okay, what are we doing next? What are we going to be working on? How long are we going to be working on it? They're the ones that actually need the routine, like Ashley shares in her homeschool days. They would benefit from the way that Ashley teaches than the way that I teach. So you're going to get that also with your kids. Your kids might not adapt to your routine or your schedule. So let's say Ashley is a scheduler, but her child is a routine. I try to make it where my child fits me because I'm the teacher. So I have to do it to where I know that I'm able to fit it in to how I can teach them. Now, if I want to be a routine person with my older kids, I can do that. But then my little kids need the scheduling. I can also do that. So I can schedule and be a routine person all in my homeschool day. So it can be kind of crazy and kind of mixed up, I guess, in some ways. Nash and Lachlan, they definitely are scheduled people. So next year when I start my homeschool day, I can probably tie that way into our homeschool day with Nash and Lachlan, and probably none of my other kids because they don't really care what subject we're going to be working on. Maybe Miles does care because once in a while he'll be like, okay, what are we doing next? So what I do with them, each child has a laminated piece of paper that has all their subjects on it, and they have to do a little check mark next to the ones that they're done. So they have to follow it in order. So it's kind of like a schedule, but it's not timed. They just know that they have to start with math, then spelling, then cursive, and then English or whatever the next subject is going to be. They're not really allowed to fluctuate that the way I have it written down on the piece of paper. So if you have a child like Nash and Lachlan that need that schedule, they would just still have that piece of paper and they would know what subjects that they need to go in order. So you could do it that way too. Like even with Ashley, she could do, she's a scheduler, but her child needs more of a routine. She could just give them a chart that they know what they need to do in order, but it's not timed. They're not stressed by the time schedule. So I hope that makes sense. So you're going to have a mix of different things. So you're going to have a scheduler, you're going to have a routine person when it comes to homeschool moms, but then your children might be different than you. So your child might have a different way of learning, and you have to try to figure that out and see how you can fit that in with how you homeschool. So hopefully a lot of this makes sense to you guys. If you have any questions on today's video, just go over to Ashley and you can leave comments over on her video if you have more on what her type of homeschooling day looks like. If you have questions for me, just leave them in the comments down below, and like I said, I will answer them the best that I can. And Ashley is more than willing to help you guys out with anything homeschool. If you guys are on Instagram, me and Ashley are over on Instagram also. Message us over there and we can help you guys get worked out with how you guys fit into this kind of schedule. I'm pretty sure that Ashley is going to be more than happy to help you guys out. She is great when it comes to getting all that kind of stuff done. She has so many fabulous ideas because she's in the mix of all the little kids still yet. Like I said, I wish I would have tracked all of this when I was in the mix of it, because I would have had a better video setup when it comes to teaching little ones, and I could have shared all of that with you guys. But for this next year, I'll share with you guys more of that throughout the year. I won't be doing any podcasts during the year. I'll just be doing it through the summer. So for my kids next year, we will be teaching 2nd grade, 4th grade, 6th grade, 8th grade, 10th grade, and then 12th grade. So if you guys are interested in learning any of that, I will be doing some podcasts on the grade levels that I have for BJU. Evelyn's not quite in grade level yet, so I don't have any real homeschool advice for little girls or elementary grade if it comes to teaching boys versus teaching girls, because I mainly just had boys. My daughter already was in 6th grade when I started teaching her. So if you guys want advice on homeschooling girls, go check out Ashley's channel. There's totally a difference when it comes to homeschooling boys versus girls, so there could be a whole nother podcast on that, but I don't really have advice on that because I'm only homeschooling boys mainly. So my girl is older and she already graduated from homeschooling, and then my next in line is Evelyn. So I will be tracking Evelyn's homeschool when she starts, so that will be fun to share with everybody. I will start from kindergarten on, maybe even preschool on from next year. I can start doing that, what I do, and I'll just focus more on videos for her, and I can keep them on Mondays, and it'll be teaching Evelyn and all the things that I'll be teaching her individually instead of all my other kids. But I will tie in some homeschool days with everyone else next year. So otherwise, hopefully you guys liked today's podcast. I was so happy to meet up with Ashley and have her come on with this podcast with me, and I'm so grateful for meeting her. And I love watching her channel and learning new things, because I'm still in the season, but she has so many creative ideas over there and different book ideas. And she also teaches different curriculum that I've never used before. So I'm learning new things from Ashley too, even though I've been homeschooling for a long time. So we all learn from each other. Let me know in the comments down below how long you have homeschooled, how many kids you're homeschooling, and what curriculum that you're going to be using in 2022 to 2023. All right, so hopefully you guys liked today's video. Don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.